Hey everybody, it's Benjamin here at the Comptoir Fragrance Channel, coming at you with more fragrances, more colognes, more perfumes. You know what we're all about. We're fragrance lovers. So let's talk about another fragrance. Let's dive into it. Another brand that you might not be familiar with. This brand is called Comptoir Sud Pacifique, and the fragrance is called Cologne Mood. Now, Cologne Mood, let's talk about it. What do we got on our hands here? We got a fragrance that has patchouli leaf. It's kind of herbal, it's kind of fresh, and it's green. It's the biggest part of this fragrance. It's the heart of this fragrance, and it's very interesting. It's different. I've never smelled anything like it. We got some, notes that might remind you of cumin. There's some nutmeg. There's some rhubarb. This fragrance might smell a little bit cumin-like or cumin-esque. There's some cardamom in this fragrance. It's a little bit spicy. It's one of those fragrances that make you think of frankincense, and it doesn't have frankincense. This fragrance actually, kind of needs some frankincense and needs something to really kind of give it a little bit more weight, in my opinion. But overall, it's a very interesting combination. It's one of those fragrances that almost makes you think of vetiver at times. It almost makes you think it could be a sandalwood fragrance, and it sometimes makes you think it could be a frankincense fragrance, but it really doesn't have many or any of those notes really going on in this thing at all. It's one of those kind of yellow-esque gentlemanly fragrances, kind of retro. It's kind of harkening back to older style fragrances like Paul Sebastian. It's an interesting fragrance for sure. It has pretty good quality about it, but I do have to say, with my personal opinion, it's just not something that I gravitate towards. It's a decent fragrance for sure, but it's kind of herbal in that way with the patchouli. To me, it's not a patchouli that I exactly love, and I'm pretty picky on my patchouli fragrances. There's a few out there that I fall head over heels for. I'm just in love with some patchoulis, like Prison Blues by IDO and Patchouli Noir by, if I can remember the name. Hopefully it comes to me in a second. This fragrance is really interesting. It's a really nice fragrance, but it's just not for me. It's just not my personality. It's pretty well blended. I think that the rhubarb is a really unusual touch to this fragrance. It's already slightly unusual to the average person, with nutmeg and cardamom and almost being saffron-like and almost being, sandalwood or frankincense-like. It's a little tricky little fragrance, I do have to say. So let's jump to the performance, everybody. With the performance, we're getting something 5 hours, maybe 6 hours. On my skin, this isn't the biggest fragrance. It's not bad. It actually projects pretty well when it's around. It might be 6 or 7 hours on your skin. This stuff just doesn't last on my skin. It's kind of a 6-hour fragrance. The projection actually is pretty good. It's not a beast. It's not a big shouter, but it is noticeable. And the sillage is pretty good as well. So performance-wise, it's pretty good. It's kind of a little bit above average. And I like to see that in a fragrance. It's not bad, but it certainly is wearable. It's appropriate for everyday situations for sure. This is a pretty universal fragrance. This is 24/7. This is all year round. This is really a fragrance that's pretty versatile. Compliment factor-wise, I didn't love this fragrance. Again, I don't like this stuff too much, so I didn't wear it out too often. I did put a dent in this decant, and I did wear it a good number of times. But, this fragrance is not modern enough to get a lot of compliments. Gentlemen like it. I think gentlemen out there's going to be some of you out there who appreciate this one. If you want a really interesting twist on what a patchouli can do, if you want something, semi-retro, if you like things like Cacharel, those styles of fragrances, Paul Sebastian, there is a little bit of a citrus kind of note on the top, and it does kind of feel somewhat like a citrus fragrance, but it's not fresh and crisp. It's kind of mellow. So, again, to me, I think that there's cumin in this fragrance, or it's kind of deceiving me. It smells kind of like cumin without having cumin in it. But interesting fragrance nonetheless. Not a big compliment getter. Smells a little bit gentlemanly. People do like it somewhat on a guy. It did make me smell a little bit more prestigious, a little bit more upscale. But it's not overtly classy. I think patchouli can become kind of grungy or kind of rebellious. And I also think patchouli can become very classy. This is one of those patchoulis that's very much in the middle of things. It's very much a patchouli fragrance that's kind of more universal, more easy to wear, more for everyday situations. So anyways, not a bad fragrance. Price-wise, you can check this brand out. This brand isn't bad in price. You can usually get a bottle for $85 to $120 or so, depending on what fragrance it is. And sometimes availability seems kind of scarce. But this Comptoir Sud Pacifique is not a bad brand. Not bad fragrances. This is just not one that works for me personally. If you like Carcherel, I do recommend you check this one out. Anyways, a good fragrance, interesting stuff for sure. Check it out if you're a gentleman out there and you want something a little bit different, something that's a little bit harkens towards the old, but it's very much wearable for here and now. This is a very wearable fragrance, you know, for anybody, for everybody. And it's just an interesting twist on patchouli. Never smelt before, very interesting stuff. Let me know if this sounds interesting to you down below. Have you smelled? Do you like patchouli fragrances? Do you like wearable patchouli fragrances? Have you ever smelled a fragrance with patchouli leaf? This is unmarked or undiscovered territory for me. I've never smelled a fragrance like it. It has rhubarb, patchouli leaf, nutmeg, and some interesting stuff going on. So, very interesting fragrance. Let me know all down there below. While you're at it, why don't you help me out? Give me a like, a comment, and subscribe. Hit that notification bell. And when you do hit the notification bell, hit all notifications. I upload very regularly, pretty much every day. I've been uploading very consistently, and you don't want to miss out on my content. So thank you all so much for all of your love and all of your support today. Thank you so much for everything, and it means the world to me to be a fragrance lover, a fragrance enthusiast, and to be passionate about fragrance, and to have your friendship, and to be helping out people in the fragrance world. Anyways, thank y'all so much. I'll see you next time. Wear what you love, rock what you got. Let me know what you think about this fragrance, and I'll see you next time, everybody, and bye.